Hearty welcome to the first year MEd Dr. Ambedkar Open University students. Under this module 4 of paper 3 Educational Management Planning and Finance, let us now see and observe what a makeover education has become and what are the reconstructions made in the field of education due to the certain global changes. Education is the manifestation of the perfection already existing in man, observed a wise scholar. The subcontinent of India, the treasure trove of Vedas, has disseminated knowledge over the world, and today we are seeing that education has taken a U-turn. This U-turn is because of the perceptual change which has occurred due to the free movement of the economic and social activities as well as the educational activities occurring across the globe. This perceptual change is because of freer flow of trade, ideas, services, capital and so on, which has only accelerated its own growth and development. Now, we can no longer call ourselves a local community or a regional community or a society at large. We are a global economy or one global village. It is because of this construct has developed because of the compression of time and space, and all local events have far reaching effects on the distant places and vice versa. This is because of liberalization and privatization, and what is its impact on education. At the outset, there is an international comparison on the educational development across the globe. Secondly, there is free flow of the university education, wherein we are training foreign students and vice versa. Thirdly, research scholars are found fleeing from one country to the other country in pursuit of higher education. And fourthly, the educational agreement which has been established to manage education in the host country as well as the other countries. Finally, education is being marketed. Now, why this marketing of education has happened, otherwise which was a non-profitable and not at all a commodity, but a service. From times immemorial, we have observed that education was never run or given on a profit making basis, but today there is a change in the order. Why? This is because of two international happenings. One is the phenomenon called internationalization. This is because of privatization and liberalization. This phenomena is nothing but the observance of any event which is taking place between two countries in the world, whereas the globalization is a phenomena which is happening simultaneously in a large number of countries across the globe. This has got far reaching happenings and far reaching effects on the globe in the concept of education, the social order and the new economic order. Now, let us see why this new economic order has come into existence. It is because of the multilateral agreement signed by 144 countries in 19 services including education, which is an enforceable, legally enforceable mechanism, and it is called as GATS and GATT. Let us see what GATS means. GATS is nothing but General Agreement on Trade and Services, whereas GATT is a General Agreement on Tariff and Trade under the framework of World Trade Organization. Now, why did this occur? As we have already said that the technological insurgence, communication, overflowing knowledge, which we also refer to as knowledge explosion, innovations, inventions, discoveries have led to this phenomenon. How it has created an impact on the world, let us now observe. First and foremost, GATS is a service provider under which education is a profit making and commodity which can be called as a merchandise like any other commodity in the world. In ancient times and until globalization happened, education was given or expected to be given by the government. Government has to be the sole provider of education, and with a nominal fee charged from the students, or it can be given by philanthropists or charitable trusts or societies under the Registration of Societies Act of 1860. Whereas now there is a sea change. Private organizations have come into that. Though private organizations were existing in the past, now private investment is said to be in a larger ground. Now, why did we come to choose to become or make education a private commodity? Times have changed, economic orders have changed. So, we have no other alternative except to offer education at a cost and not free of cost. Now, having come to this understanding, all the countries which have signed this GATS, they are under or subject to certain obligations. First, the most favored nation treatment. Every nation or every member country is considered as a most favored nation, and it gets a national treatment whenever it chooses to enter the free market offering service in one sector or more than one sectors, and it has to be treated like any other service provider which has entered into that country. Secondly, any country, or we are not talking about any country, we are talking about the member country which can make a request voluntarily on the type of service it would like to provide or the type of services it would like to provide, and it has to be treated in par with all the other member countries without any discrimination for offering this service. Thirdly, countries practicing maintaining practices under the restriction of competition are directed to consultation for restricting this competition, and fair chances have to be given, not jeopardizing any other country which is also offering a service. Ultimately, we can come to the understanding that all the member countries are subject to certain administrative norms. They have to establish certain administrative units which can be judicial, which can be in the nature of arbitral negotiation, and all these in order to see that fair trade is being observed and practiced among the member countries, between the member countries and the world at large. Let us now see what are the divisions which has been created by GATS. There are 5 divisions created by, and these 5 divisions are at different phases of education. One is the primary education. It covers, under this provision, all the primary units, that is pre-primary and primary are covered, excluding daycare services and adult education programs. Secondly, we come to secondary education. All high schools are covered under this provision, and technical and vocational education is being provided to handicapped children, to vocational institutions, whereas educational services are given to handicapped children. The third one is the post secondary services. This can be in the form of it is given in 2 modes. One is developing skills, practical skills, vocational and technical skills in post secondary, sub degree and other vocational and technical institutes. And the third one, or you can say the second one, is that offering theoretical education at the university and college level. Finally, we come to the last, not the last one, but the last but one, that is adult education services. Any services which are not covered under the above heads, which can be given on the direct, indirect mode, which can be through distance education, through internet, through other means like broadcasting, and material also can be supplied, but care should be taken to see that this area is not covered in under the above specified areas. Finally, we come to other type of educational services provided excluding recreational activities. Now, let us observe what are the 4 modes which are being accepted or which are being identified or which have been identified by GATS. The first one is cross border supply. Now, what do you mean by cross border supply? It is nothing but provision of education services in the form of material, in the form of teaching through the indirect mode and across the globe. It also includes testing services offered and other material. Then secondly, we come to what is called the mobility. Mobility is a very important aspect while imparting education. If only mobility is not allowed, then education becomes stagnant. Therefore, mobility is one of the prerequisites of GATS, allowing people, or you can say allowing foreign students to come into the host country and vice versa. Thirdly, this economic presence or financial presence we can call, and it also crosses over the educational consumption, which is nothing but offering service in the form of education. Then we come to economic presence, which is nothing but allowing the host country or allowing foreign countries to establish their own institutions or educational organizations in the host country and vice versa. And finally, natural person. Every qualified person, research scholars are to be allowed mobility to extend their services in other countries and vice versa. These 4 modes have been identified, and let us now see what is the impact on and what is the Indian response and the global response to this great phenomena called globalization and internationalization. Now, Indian government has been very wise, as it has always been, and it has come out with a very beautiful suggestion. The MHRD, Ministry of Human Resource Development, has conducted a number of seminars to take the opinion of academicians, experts, educationists and researchers to find the solution for this trading with education, which was unaccounted for or unprescribed in terms of the Indian constitution also, because we believe in service and we are a service, we are karma bhumi, but then we have to bow down to the global obligations and global challenges. Therefore, when the consultation was made, they came out with the opinion which was given as a regulation by the All India Technical Institute, as only quality universities and quality institutes can be allowed to function in the soil of the great subcontinent and the Indian subpeninsula, or you can say the Indian peninsula. It is not subpeninsula, but it is Indian peninsula. This was the greatest response given by the Indian government. Well, let us see and observe what is the world response to this phenomena. The world has got mixed responses, because world is at large and by large divided into 2 great groups. One is the developed countries and other one is underdeveloped or developing countries. It has got far reaching effects, globalization especially. Although the waves of liberalization, industrialization, socialization, secularization and privatization has already given far reaching impacts, the sweep which has made by globalization is overwhelming. So, the world has not given a very positive response, it has been divided and mixed. They feel that the phenomena has to be observed anyway. They have given certain offers, like the first one is requests. Countries which want to, or member countries which are likely to enter into the open market, have to make requests. Now, and while making requests, they can always specify whether they would like to enter into one sector or many sectors under one mode or all the 4 modes. It is their choice, but anyway it is in order to make them understood by the world, they have to give a clear picture of what are the limitations, the restrictions, and this will be negotiated and the concerns will be delivered to the member country. Secondly, offers. Each member country can offer to give services, or they can be service providers in most of the services or in most of the modes or under all the divisions. So, this maximization and minimization of the program has to be spelt out, so that there is no competition and there is no clash among the member countries while delivering this and care will be envisaged, and the final decision is with the authority created by GATS. Then we come to revocation. What is revocation? Revocation is nothing but entering into an agreement, and the stipulated period is 3 years. If any country chooses to revocate its agreement within the stipulated period of 3 years, then care should be envisaged, and there is a dialogue delivered between the GATS secretariat and the revoking country, and if at all the revoking country is very obligatory, then it will yield. If it is not, if it is going to be stubborn, then it has to pay for the damages which is going to incur on the other country, which is going to suffer the losses. And finally, we will come to the mutual agreement or mutual dispute settlement mechanism evolved by GATS, which is one of the very protecting and safety measures brought to see that amicable dispute resolution is conducted by GATS secretariat if and on when the disputes occur among or between member countries, and negotiations will be done, and it will be observed and seen that no country is going to be affected by this obligation, or no country will suffer the damage, and every country is going to be treated equally as the most favored nation. Now, every country has a GDP, so does India. Now, when we come to talk about the GDP contribution, the service sector is contributing more than half of the nation's GDP in all the developing countries, whereas 2/3 of the GDP is being contributed by the service sector in the developed countries. Then what protection is to be offered for such a phenomena? Let us see what is the protection is going to be offered to these service providers. At the outset, first step should be taken to protect the qualifications of the educationists, academicians or research scholars who are going to other countries to impart their knowledge. Secondly, their visas and other security arrangements have to be taken care of, so that there is not going to be any negative effect on the service provider of the host country or the other countries which are going to provide these services. If these measures are taken care of, then I think we can think deeply and seriously about GATS happening in a very big way. Now, let us observe what are the implications of GATS on education, on the globe at large, and in the lifestyle of men, that is the common man. We can observe, or we can say very loudly, that GATT did make a contribution to the lifestyles. It has improved the quality of the life of the common man. It has also improved the health and hygienic conditions of the common man, and it has also brought communication closer, because ICT is working in a very big way, and the data entry system, which is the innovative practice now in the cycle of research, is a very big contribution. So also management information system, which is making things very easy. Just you press the button and the knowledge flows out, or the information flows out. This is not very easy. It is not a magical wand, but it is an occurrence of the phenomena. But then it has got its own concerns. What are the concerns of GATT? The concerns are very far reaching. First and foremost, we can see that the rich countries are becoming richer, utilizing services and resources of the poor countries. Therefore, there is a juxtaposition. There is going to be a contradictory situation where the haves become richer and the have-nots continue to become poor. Then secondly, what is the impact of globalization is that there is going to be a difference in the social order. According to John Meckels, an eminent Swedish sociologist, he said that the worst hit will be the universities which are imparting education to the common man, and under this obligation all the students have to put their own finance, or they have to foot their own cost to educate themselves, which is not going to be a small thing, which is going to be very, very loud and very, very difficult. But then education cannot be given free of cost, because prices are skyrocketing and man's existence in this world is becoming increasingly difficult. So, John Smith has observed that there is going to be two divisions even in the developed countries. Only 20% of the elite will be under the social core, whereas 80% are going to suffer staying on the social periphery, which is not very, very healthy. Then when we are talking about planning, policy, finance and management, we have seen that globalization has changed the world of education into a very, very difficult area, because now education is not going to be free of cost, it is going to be a good which has to be purchased, and every student worth its quality has to foot its own bill and acquire the education which is not going to come, and they have to pay through their nose. This is going to have far reaching impacts on the world at large, and so every step has been taken by the Indian government in the planning and financing and policy making, and self-financing courses have come into the fore, and it is going to continue. Let us see what the globe is going to observe in the coming decades. Thank you very much for this wonderful opportunity given to me. I hope you enjoyed this lesson. Thank you.
ఈ కార్యక్రమాలపై మీ అభిప్రాయాల్ని, సూచనల్ని, సలహాల్ని ఆహ్వానిస్తున్నాం. మా చిరునామా ద డైరెక్టర్, ఆడియో విజువల్ ప్రొడక్షన్ అండ్ రీసెర్చ్ సెంటర్, డాక్టర్ బిఆర్ అంబేద్కర్ ఓపెన్ యూనివర్సిటీ, ప్రొఫెసర్ జి రామరెడ్డి మార్క్, రోడ్ నంబర్ 46, జూబ్లీ హిల్స్, హైదరాబాద్ 500033.